I died with my brother's fingers crushing my windpipe. His face twisted into something inhuman, spitting the words, "You're a disgrace," like venom right into my soul. The boardroom spun in a haze of shattered glass and spilled champagne, my empire crumbling around me as the knife he'd planted in my desk, framed as mine, sealed my fate in that final, gasping betrayal. But death wasn't the end. It was a goddamn reset button, yanking me back to the sticky summer morning of my 18th birthday, heart pounding in a body that hadn't yet been broken. I bolted upright in my twin bed, sheets tangled around my legs like restraints from a nightmare I couldn't shake. The room smelled of cheap lavender air freshener and the faint tang of Mom's diner coffee brewing downstairs, smells that hit me like a freight train, pulling me from the sterile penthouse scent of my last life. My hands flew to my throat, smooth and unmarked. No bruises from his grip, no scar from the emergency tracheotomy they'd botched in the ambulance. I was Arabella Voss again, the wide-eyed kid with dreams bigger than this crumbling Queen's row house. Not the 42-year-old tech titan who'd clawed her way to the top only to be shoved off by the one person I trusted most. Arabella, breakfast. Mom's voice floated up the stairs, laced with that weary optimism she wore like armor. I stumbled to the mirror, staring at the reflection of a girl with frizzy brown hair and acne scars fading under drugstore foundation. 18. Pre-law at NYU on a full ride, interning at a startup that would one day be Voss Tech. The date burned in my brain, July 15th, 2005. 24 years before the knife. The frame job. The trial where my own brother, Ethan, testified against me with tears in his eyes, painting me as the corporate saboteur who'd embezzled millions to fund a rival AI project.
Lies.
All of it. He'd stolen my neural network algorithm, the one that revolutionized predictive analytics, and buried me under fabricated evidence to claim it as his own. The hook lodged deeper as I dressed in my thrift store jeans and faded band tee. I remembered the jury's verdict, the cold clink of cuffs, the media frenzy dubbing me the Voss Viper. Prison had been hell, 7 years of fluorescent lights and whispers. Emerging to find Ethan Voss, my golden boy brother, knighted as the Wunderkind billionaire. He'd married my college sweetheart, inherited the family name I'd rebuilt, and toasted my downfall at galas where champagne flutes clinked like mocking laughter.
But now?
Now I had a second shot. No more playing nice. Ethan wanted a disgrace. I'd build an empire so towering it'd eclipse his stolen son. And when I dragged him into the light, the world would see the rot beneath his smile. Downstairs, the kitchen was a battlefield of mismatched plates and grease stains. Mom flipped pancakes with one hand. Dad nursed his coffee with the other, eyes glued to the sports section like it held the secrets to escaping the 9-to-5 grind. Ethan lounged at the table, 17 and already oozing that effortless charm, varsity quarterback. Straight A's. The son they prayed for after 3 miscarriages before me. "Morning, Bella," he said, flashing teeth whiter than our future prospects. "Heard you aced that internship interview." Nerd alert. I forced a grin, but inside, rage simmered like bad diner hash. In my first life, that grin had been genuine. I'd idolized him, shared every code snippet, every late-night brainstorm over stolen cafeteria pizza. He'd been my biggest cheerleader when Voss Tech launched from our garage, beta testing my AI prototypes while I coded through migraines. Until the pivot, when investors sniffed real money, he'd whispered doubts in their ears, planted bugs in my servers to mimic data leaks. By the time I confronted him, the knife was already twisting, literally, in that boardroom ambush where his security team, turned out to be hired muscle.
Yeah. Well,
Someone's gotta carry the family genius gene, I shot back, sliding into my seat. Mom chuckled, but Dad's brow furrowed, the first crack in the facade. He was a union mechanic, hands calloused from engines that never started on the first try. And he'd always said Ethan had the brawn, me the brains. Little did he know how right he was, or how I'd weaponize it. School that day blurred into a fever dream. Stuyvesant High's halls echoed with lockers slamming and gossip about prom dates. But I navigated them like a ghost, mapping timelines in my head. Vosteka's seed round was 6 months out. I'd pitched the neural net to VCs. But this time, I'd encrypt it 6 ways to Sunday. Watermark every line of code with invisible tracers. No more sharing with Big Bro. Lunch with my best friend, Lena, sharp-tongued Latina from the Bronx. Future co-founder in my old life, became my first chess move. I'm ditching pre-law, I told her over mystery meat subs.
tech.
Full throttle. Her eyes widened. Girl, you serious? Your folks'll flip. Let 'em. I've got a vision. And a vendetta. That night, holed up in my room with Dad's ancient Dell, I started forking GitHub repos, tweaking algorithms that wouldn't exist for a decade. Sleep evaded me. Every creak of the house floorboards conjured Ethan's face. Post-trial, on CNBC, my sister made choices. I just built on what we started together. Bullshit. He'd gutted me for glory. Weeks bled into a rhythm of duality, high school drudgery by day, nocturnal coding marathons by night. Ethan noticed. Of course. You're turning into a zombie. Bells, he'd say, slinging an arm around my shoulders during family dinners. That fraternal squeeze, now feeling like a noose. Mom beamed at our bond, oblivious to the undercurrents. Dad grumbled about my dropping grades, but I didn't care. By fall, NYU accepted my transfer to computer science, and the internship at NextGen Labs became my war room. NextGen was a petri dish of Silicon Valley wannabes in Midtown, buzzing with caffeine and equity dreams.
My boss,
Grizzled ex-IBMer Hal, saw potential in my intuitive grasp of machine learning. Huh? If only he knew it was 2 decades of scars fueling the fire. I pitched a mini version of the neural net during a team huddle, predictive empathy engine for customer service, but scalable to finance. Eyes lit up. Hal slapped my back. Kid, you're onto something. Ethan crashed the holiday party. All broad shoulders and easy laughs, charming the socks-off investors I'd invited. Proud of my little sis, he boomed, clinking glasses. Later, in the coat room, he cornered me. Heard you're cooking up gold. Share notes? For old time's sake. My pulse thundered, but I played coy. Maybe after you hit the pros. He laughed, but his eyes, cold, calculating, mirrored the man who'd testify against me years later. That night, I installed the first tracer, a digital breadcrumb in my code,
keyed to his IP.
Spring brought the seed round. I'd bootstrapped a demo, Voss predict, my baby, using dorm Wi-Fi and borrowed servers. The pitch to Andreessen Horowitz proxies in a Soho loft, 20 minutes of slides. Projections hitting unicorn status in 5 years. They bid. Wiring $500,000 with a smirk. Don't blow it, kid. I didn't. Vostek LLC filed that week. My name's sole proprietor. Ethan's reaction over Easter brunch? A frozen smile. Big leagues now.
Huh?
Need a co-founder. Got it covered. Inside. Triumph warred with nausea. This was the fork in my old life.
I'd said yes.
And he'd siphoned the funds into joint ventures that mysteriously tanked my shares. Summer scorched the city, but my momentum didn't flag. Lena jumped ship from her poli-sci track to be COO, her street smarts balancing my tech obsession. We rented a walk-up in Brooklyn, walls papered in white bards of algorithms. Reporters sniffed around, teen tech prodigy profiles in TechCrunch, but I dodged the spotlight, eyes on the prize. Ethan enrolled at Columbia on a football scholarship, but whispers reached me. He'd started a consulting side hustle, poaching my early hires with promises of family synergy. The first sabotage hit like a sucker punch. September. Post-IPO buzz for a micro-funding round. My servers glitched, code corrupted, demo crashing mid-pitch to Goldman Sachs scouts. Fingers pointed at me. Sloppy work? Arabella. I traced it in hours. Ethan's dorm IP. A sloppy worm he'd lifted from a dark web forum. Rage boiled. But I swallowed it, staging a recovery that exposed the breach without naming names. Publicly, I spun it as learning curve. Privately, I hired my first fixer, a grizzled PI named Rocco, ex-NYD, who dug into Ethan's finances. Reports trickled in, unexplained deposits, shell accounts. The secret gnawed at me, buried since Dad's garage tinkering days. Our father hadn't just fixed cars, he'd moonlighted on black market engine mods for chop shops. A debt Ethan had inherited and amplified with crypto scams. I'd covered for him once. As kids, forging a school note to alibi his errands. That loyalty? It'd blind me to his rot. By winter, Vostech hit $10 million valuation. Forbes whispered, rising star, but I felt the noose tightening. Ethan transferred to Stanford's business program. Networking, he claimed, and our paths diverged. Or so it seemed. A call from Mom. Your brother's in trouble.
Bella.
Some loan sharks. I wired $50,000 anonymously. A test. He took it. No thanks. No questions. Then, the controversial call. Rocco uncovered Ethan's pivot to AI knockoffs, hawking bootlegs of my public patents. Moral gray? I greenlit a whisper campaign, anonymous leaks to VCs about his ethics. Jobs dried up, his startup stalled. Guilt flickered. Was this revenge or justice? But the memory of his hands on my throat snuffed it. Family first? Screw that. Survival now. As snow blanketed the city, I stood on my fire escape, laptop glowing with valuation charts climbing like vines. 22 now. Body lean from gym sessions masking the insomnia. Lena poured cheap wine. To the empire. I clinked, but my mind raced ahead, to the boardroom. The knife. The twist I hadn't seen coming in life one. The years blurred into a high-octane blur of board meetings and burnout. Vostech morphing from garage hack to Wall Street darling. By 25, we'd cornered the predictive analytics market, banks using our AI to sniff fraud, Hollywood studios greenlighting scripts via sentiment scans. I was Arabella Voss, the Ice Queen founder plastered on Fast Company's most influential under 30, but every TED Talk smile hid the ledger of grudges. Ethan lurked in the shadows, his Stanford pedigree landing him at Kleiner Perkins as an analyst, advising on deals that conveniently bypassed my competitors. Whispers from Rocco. He'd rebranded his flop as Ethos Ventures, poaching talent with NDAs thicker than his conscience. The betrayal deepened that crisp October afternoon in 2012, rain lashing my Tribeca penthouse windows like accusations. Lena burst in, face ashen. tablet clutched like a grenade. Bella, you gotta see this. Leaked emails, my emails. Doctored to hell, circulating on Hacker News. Vostech insider trading scheme exposed. My neural net's core code. The one I'd buried under layers of proprietary jazz. Splashed across GitHub forks. Ethan's watermark nowhere, but his touch all over the metadata. I paced the loft. Skyline mocking me with its indifferent gleam. It's him. Has to be. Rocco confirmed it by midnight. Backdoor planted during a brotherly visit 2 years back, when he'd crashed my launch party with a bottle of Glenfiddich and that wolfish grin. Congrats,
Sis.
let's collab. I'd let him plug in. Demo his feedback tool.
Idiot.
In my first life, that access let him siphon everything. This time, I'd fortified, but not enough. The secret festered. Those emails weren't just fakes. They referenced Dad's old chop shop ties. Twisted to imply I'd laundered startup funds through family ghosts. Controversy erupted like a match in gasoline. SEC knocked at dawn. Suits starched and smug. MS. Voss. Care to explain these transactions? I lawyered up top-dollar sharks from Skadden and spun the counter-narrative. Cyber-tech. Foreign actors. Leaks to Bloomberg painted me as victim. Ethos as suspect. But the damage? Valuation dipped 15%. VCs jittery. Lena advocated pulling the trigger. Sue his ass. Publicly. I hesitated. Controversial decision numero uno. A suing family? Tabloids would feast. Sibling tech war. Betrayal or bluff. Instead, I played long game. Donated $1 million to cyber ethics PACs. Testified before Congress on IP theft. Hero status restored. But Ethan's stock? Plummeted. He called. Voice oily. Heard about the hack. Need a shoulder? Fuck off. Ethan. First direct shot.
Click.
Revenge tasted like black coffee. Bitter?
Necessary.
I doubled down on R&D. Birthing Voss Shield. Impenetrable encryption laced with my tracers. Patents filed under pseudonyms. Board stacked with loyalists, no family seats. By 28, we IPO'd at $2.5 billion. Me ringing the bell in a red power suit that screamed untouchable. Confetti rained, champagne popped. Forbes cover. Arabella Voss, the AI queen at 28. Mom cried on FaceTime from Queens. Dad muttered pride through a beer buzz. Ethan? Radio silence. But Rocco's dossiers thickened. Ethos hemorrhaging. Him drowning debts in Vegas high-roller suites. Whispers of mob ties echoing Dad's sins. The tension coiled tighter in 2015, when I greenlit the merger with Quantum Dynamics, a cutthroat play to swallow a rival Ethan's been courting. Controversial? Hell yes. Quantum CEO. Grizzled Texan Buck Harlan. Ran a sweatshop coder farm in Bangalore. Ethics be damned. Whispers of data harvesting without consent, but their quantum algorithms meshed perfectly with mine, catapulting Vostech to trillion-dollar whispers. Board balked. PR nightmare. Arabella. Lena pushed. Dominate or die. I signed, burying the dirt under NDAs and lobbyist spin. Stock soared 40%. Headlines hailed bold vision. But nights, alone in the penthouse, ghosts visited, faces of those Bangalore devs. Blurred but accusing. Was I becoming him? Stealing light to cast shadows? Ethan resurfaced at the merger gala. Black tie affair in the Met's Temple of Dender. Nile replicas glowing under chandeliers. He sidled up, tucked sharp as a shiv. Looking good. Disgrace. The word landed like a gut punch, dredging the boardroom chokehold. What do you want? Partnership. Ethos folds into Voss. I run ops. Keep it in the family. His eyes gleamed, same as the trial, when he perjured through crocodile tears. I laughed. Low and lethal. Family? You killed that when you hacked me. He blinked feigned shock. Hacked? That's ancient history. We're Voss's. Blood. Blood washes out. I walked. But not before slipping Rocco's latest. Photos of Ethan with Harlan's goons. Cutting side deals on stolen Voss code. The secret unraveled thread by thread. Dad's chop shop wasn't just debts. It was a front for Ethan's embryonic schemes. Laundering crypto through auto parts. I'd shielded him as kids. Forging alibis. He'd weaponized it against me. Framing my inheritance as embezzlement. Post-gala. The real war ignited. Ethan countersued. Defamation. Claiming my leaks tanked ethos. Tabloids exploded. Tech titans blood feud. Pundits picked sides. Cable news dissected our childhood Christmas cards like autopsy slides. Controversial decision, too. I went nuclear. Leaked the photos to Wired. Anonymized but damning. Voss sibling linked to quantum shadow ops. Ethan's world imploded. Kleiner dropped him. Banks called loans. He texted at 3 a.m., "You bitch. This isn't over." I stared at the screen, fingers hovering. In my old life. Please followed, help me. Bells, and I'd caved, wiring bail that funded his final frame job. This time,
Blocked.
but doubt crept. Was the knife his alone? Or had I missed accomplices? Rocco dug deeper, unearthing emails between Ethan and my ex. Jake, college sweetheart who testified character witness against me. Perjuring about my instability. Jake. Now Ethan's VP. Married to some model. The betrayal layered like onion skin, peeling to raw hurt. By 30, Voss Tech dominated. Acquisitions in Europe. Asia, hubs humming. I dated sporadically. Wall Street wolves sniffing fortunes. But trust? Shattered glass. Lena became family. Her quips grounding the chaos. You're building a fortress. Not a home. True. The penthouse echoed. Minimalist chic masking emptiness. Mom visited. Eyeing the views. Proud. Baby. But Ethan's. Struggling. I stiffened. His mess. The climax brewed in 2018. Vegas for a tech summit. Ironic. Given Ethan's haunts. I keynote on ethical AI in a predatory world. Irony thick as cigar smoke. Backstage. Harlan cornered me, mustache twitching. Your brother's singing like a canary.
Voss.
About your old man's dirt. Threat? Bribe? Before I could retort, Ethan materialized.
Gaunt.
Eyes wild.
Bella. We talk.
Now. The suite overlooked the strip. Neon bleeding through blinds like accusations. He paced. Scotch sloshing. You ruined me. For what? Some code. I leaned against the bar. Calm as a scalpel. You ruined me first. The hack. The leaks. Payback. He laughed.
Bitter.
Payback? You think that's it? Dad's debts. I paid them. For us. You were too busy playing God with your machines. Lies, twisted truth. Rocco's files showed Ethan siphoning family funds for poker debts. Not salvation. The argument escalated, voices rising. Glass shattering. Disgrace, he snarled, lunging. Deja vu hit like vertigo, his hands on my throat. But this time, I twisted free, knee to groin. He crumpled,
gasping.
Security hauled him. I pressed no charges yet. But the seed planted. Confrontation loomed. Boardroom redux. As I flew back, jets slicing clouds. Resolve hardened. No mercy. The twist? Harlan's words echoed. What if Ethan's canary song exposed more than Dad? What if my empire rested on sand? Valuations climbed. Awards piled. 32. Untouchable. But tension thrummed. A live wire. Lena warned. He's cornered animals bite hardest. I nodded, tracing the neural net's evolution on my tablet. Revenge wasn't destruction. It was eclipse, making him irrelevant in my orbit.
Then,
the call, Mom.
Sobbing.
Ethan's arrested. Money laundering. Your name's dragged in. The secret burst, cops linking Vostek shells to his ops. Frame job. Round 2. I hung up, staring at the city lights.
Time to end it.
The arraignment hit like a monsoon, flashbulbs popping outside the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan, rain slicking the steps as I pushed through the scrum. Ethan in orange. Shackled. Eyes hollowed by bail denials and bad decisions. Mom clung to Dad's arm in the gallery, her face a roadmap of grief. I sat stone-faced, laptop balanced on knees, live-tweeting Vosteka's latest acquisition to remind the world I was above this circus. Family matters, I murmured to reporters. Don't derail progress.
Lie.
This was the endgame. Rocco's intel painted the picture. Ethan's laundering ring, funneled through Quantum's offshore ghosts, traced back to Dad's chop shop relics, but twisted with my early Voss accounts. Pre-IPO slush I'd forgotten in the rebirth fog. Controversial decision 3. Come clean partially. Preempted the feds with oppressor. Vostek audit reveals legacy liabilities, donating $10 million to anti-corruption NGOs. Framing it as transparency triumph. Stock dipped, then rebounded on the heroic honesty spin. Ethan's lawyers screamed conflict, mine shredded it. Behind scenes, I orchestrated the kill shot. Hired forensic accountants to untangle the web, exposing Ethan's solo plays, Vegas markers, crypto cons, Harlan payoffs. The twist slithered in during depositions. Jake, my ex, flipped. Under immunity, he spilled, Ethan hadn't just stolen code. He'd orchestrated the original boardroom ambush, paying off security to plant the knife, staging my suicide attempt as corporate sabotage. But the gut punch? Jake's motive, resentment over my ambition eclipsing his, egged by Ethan's whispers. He said you were the disgrace, always had been. Dad's favorite screw-up. Lies layered on half-truths. Dad had favored Ethan's brawn, but my brains paid the mortgage. Nausea hit, but clarity followed. No accomplices beyond greed. The trial ballooned, 6 months of spectacle. Cable news marathons dissecting Voss DNA like a crime show. I testified, voice steady. My brother betrayed not just me, but our family's legacy. Exhibits flashed, code logs, IP trails, Ethan's emails begging one more loan, bells before the hack. Jurors, blue-collar New Yorkers like our parents, nodded, seeing their own kin in the rot. Climax crested in the jury room's shadow. A clandestine meet in a midtown diner, neutral ground, Rocco shadowing. Ethan, out on technicality, slid into the booth, gaunt as a specter. You win, Arabella. Empire intact. Happy, His voice cracked. Not defiance, but defeat, echoing the boy who'd shared comic books. Not the monster who'd choked me. I sipped black coffee, mirroring Mom's brew from that rebirth morning. Happy? You took everything. My trust. My life. Flashback assaulted. The boardroom. Glass shattering. His whisper amid sirens. Why? He deflated. Shoulders slumping. Dad's shadow. He called me the spare, you the spark. I had to prove something. The secret fully unearthed. Dad's deathbed confession. Whispered to Ethan alone. Cancer eating him. Regrets spilling. Bella's the future. Don't let her down. Ethan, twisted by inadequacy, saw me as thief, not heir. Stole to balance, framed to correct. Pathetic, but human, fueling my rage and reluctant pity. Controversial apex, mercy's edge. I could bury him, leak the full depot, watch him rot in Sing Sing. Instead, offer, plea out, testify against Harlan. Vostek funds rehab, relocation, vanish. His eyes searched mine for the sister, not the titan. Why? Because blood's thicker than code. But cross me again? You're done. He nodded, tears streaking, first real one since kids. Deal struck. Feds pounced on Quantum. Harlan cuffed in Dallas dawn raid. Ethan's testimony sealed it. Immunity his lifeline. Twist landed post-verdict. Guilty on lesser counts. 5 years probation. But as he hugged Mom goodbye in the courthouse lobby, a whisper. The knife? Not me. Jake panicked, thought you'd expose us. Heart stuttered. Rebirth memory fracturing. In my old life. The suicide note? Jake's handwriting. Forged. Ethan hadn't choked me. He'd watched. Frozen. As Jake's hired muscle botched the scare into murder. Betrayal doubled. But closure tripled. Jake extradited from Dubai. Facing life. Vostek soared. Post-scandal valuation hitting $50 billion. Me at 35, the youngest billionaire. Forbes crowning, from ashes to algorithms. The cover shoot in Central Park. Autumn leaves carpeting paths like redemption. Felt surreal. Lena toasted at the launch party. To second chances. Mom and Dad attended. Pride thawing old frosts. Ethan? Letter from halfway house. Sorry doesn't fix. But thanks for the light. Ending? No fairy tale bow. I stood on the penthouse balcony that Forbes night. City humming below. Champagne flute cold in hand. Triumph tasted bittersweet. Empire mine. But scars etched permanent. Ethan's disgrace echo faded. Replaced by my own voice. Relentless. Unyielding. Reborn not to destroy,
but to redefine.
As lights twinkled, I raised a glass to ghosts, past, future, family. The disgrace? She'd become legend. In the quiet, code hummed on my phone, Voss predict forecasting market dips. But for once, I ignored it. Tomorrow, board expansions, global summits.
Tonight, peace.
Fragile as dawn. I'd won. But victory's weight? Heavier than any knife. And in America's cutthroat gleam. That was the real hook. Success, not despite the blood. But forged in it.